Well, so this is the way the game of Dampfross starts. Everybody basically sits in a location and gets to pick a city. Nobody's picked one yet, but we're starting with green. I'm going to work my way around counterclockwise just to prove that I'm kind of a little odd. And I've decided to use crayons from Eurorails, actually, rather than the markers. Now, there's problems with the crayons, too, which at least they match the right colors, but unlike the brown marker that writes green, that's kind of a tricky thing. But one of the problems with that in particular is the yellow crayon is particularly bad in terms of marking the map, and the brown one isn't terribly good either. Alright, but let's see what we're going to do. Green is going to go first. He's got 20 bucks. I'm going to keep track of money on here because I don't want to be using my crayon up on things. I'd rather use up paper, I guess, kill a tree, save some bees or something like that, because this isn't really what... These crayons, I don't know how to replace them, to tell you the truth. Okay, I'm sure there's ways through Mayfair or something, but... Well, and I have some markers, but I didn't like them. Let's try to look for where a cool place is. To me, New York is great and all, but I think I want to be kind of in the heartland here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take green, and I'm going to take as my starting city Washington, D.C., because I can branch in both directions from there. I'll roll a die. He gets to spend a big $2. That's not very much, but this is what's kind of a benefit. He gets to go here for 1, 2. That gives him 6 for a connection. So he's going to be at 24 at the end of the round. I'm going to also have to be keeping track of a chart for which city numbers are used, but that's okay. We'll get to that in a bit. Okay, green fell here. Now blue gets to pick a city in the starting location and roll a die. Same kind of situation. Well, kind of the problem here is where else can you guarantee, or almost guarantee, they're going to be able to hook something up, and there really isn't anything anywhere near as good as this connection, at least for a starting location. The Norfolk to Richmond isn't bad, but then if he takes this, green can drop down here and get that if he doesn't get a good roll. If he gets a good roll, he can jump this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's $3 for a river. I believe so. Gonna have to look that up. Let's see what we got here. Oh, what are these? 4 units. What? Those are the costing. Crossing a river is going to be $3. That's kind of painful. But I don't see a lot of other places where there's going to be good money to be made early. Philadelphia, I can drop down to Baltimore. So you know what? Blue's going to go for Philadelphia and try to trump that green line choice. He gets a big 6. And he definitely wants to buy this at 1, 2, 3. So he ends up, say, coming out of Baltimore to connect to Philadelphia because Baltimore's already hooked up. $6 is $3 of that is going to get him 6, so he's now at +3. But he gets to build some more, and he'll build that. Oh, I don't know. Let's shoot up here. Well, let's grab some track. Let's grab some good track. I like the Albany, New York connection. See, he's got 3 more bucks he can build. He could build 2 out of Baltimore and shoot this way. I like that. So that's up to 5 and 6 to there. And he has 6, so blue is going to even up at 20. And I'll come back as other people choose their starting cities and where they're going. Well, I was a little cheap here. The first 2 players, I made them pick their cities beforehand, and I'm going to leave it at that. But normally you roll your die before you pick your city, so you get to know how much you have to spend. So blue might not have done all this. They might have tried to pick some other more valuable location given that. They'll stick with what they have, but now when we go to yellow, we'll take that route. Let's roll a die, see how much I get. I get a big $6, so I'm going to try to grab $6 worth of cool stuff. Now I think I like this area here over in the Pittsburgh area, so I'll go for this. Let's see. Buffalo looks like a route. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could just hook that up. Can I get 2, 3 routes? Well, I'm not in that. That would have been this area. So I'm going to go for that Buffalo route. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And yellow is even because they've hooked up their line. And they'll have $20 as well. And now we'll just keep going, and I'll come back as the track starts being built out. And there we've kind of finished things off with black getting a low roll and setting up Norfolk to Richmond. They're at $23. Red, well, they got a big roll, but only used 5 of the 6 they could have used for the Atlantic to Birmingham, getting $1 back for that connection. And then brown hooked themselves up the Cleveland to Pittsburgh, kind of boning yellow there. That's one of the issues with this game. And by setting that up, now they're kind of taking the southern route and sticking yellow with the northern route. But the yellow can actually slide up here or towards Cincinnati or some other location and kind of put a challenge on that. They've got this connection solidified, so their route into Albany or whatever looks okay. But there's always competition because we got blue up here kind of running up to these things. Now they spent a little bit they didn't need to there. They may not use that. We'll see how that all ends up. Alright, well, let's see what track's going around the next time around, and we'll sort of see how the track's going to start developing and what's going to come out of it. So let's see what we're pushing here. Green is kind of troubled. They got a very bad roll and only were able to cross the Potomac, basically. So they have a really crappy line that doesn't look like they're going anywhere. They're kind of strangled off. Blue, not much better, heading up to Albany. It looks like they're going to dominate this area. Yellow had to turn around and say, okay, I'm going to go for Detroit then, and for western routes, which is important because these guys who clustered to the east where the money was initially are kind of cut off by some of the choices that were made, and they're going to have a hard time making money. Going over to, these things roll around like mad. Going over to black, they're heading down south, Wilmington, Charlotte. Want to grab those. But once they get those, where else can they get money? And that's going to be it's always a tough thing in this game. I think that's why the Germany map suggested is because it's kind of richer and easier to connect things. Here there's a lot of space and it's kind of hard to connect things. But that's okay, I'm enjoying. Red, well, Red wasn't able to make a connection, but they are able to challenge black's dominance in the south by shooting over to Savannah. And then finally brown down to Charleston. They actually didn't spend all they had. Got some cash, the people who are ahead. Well, the only one who's ahead right now is brown. Basically, they're the ones who've connected up enough things to get the points rolling. You've only got $20 to start with. And you want to make sure that can last you through this building phase. You don't want to be building lots of track and then having cities stolen from you, which is what we're going to start seeing, I think, in some cases. On the other hand, you don't want to race to get cities that are kind of difficult for you to get in order to bone someone else and then not be able to expand back to your back areas. Maybe lose them out to someone else who's getting a jump on you. We'll see how it goes. We'll keep playing them out. We see some more expansion. Green shooting down, making the challenge to black again. Black's got so many challenges against them. They're just not they're not in a rich area. They're hoping to get Charlotte first because that'll force green to run down to Wilmington. They don't think they can get both of them, but if they grab one, they probably can get they might be able to get the other still. Charlotte's definitely closer, but there's this luck. You roll the die, you might not get very far. Let's look where else. Blue shot into New York, still holding a stranglehold on Albany, and they'll be able to get Boston as well. They're going to just dominate that northeastern area. Yellow, slowly, they got one die pip, trying to head out into Detroit still. Black, well, we'd already talked about them shooting down. Red managed to get Savannah. Now they've got kind of this control down here. It's going to be tough to beat them anywhere, and they're going to get a lot of bonus off of their positioning here. And then Brown, who's also doing good positioning and getting good rolls, stretching out, but they're kind of played it out now. Now where do they go from here? They could shoot up north and try to challenge yellow, or down south and hit red, and they've really got to make their choice soon. Either they're in a kind of balanced position where they could go either way, hurt either of the other players, and probably are about balanced either way for themselves. Money-wise, everyone's doing okay. Brown's got some good cash flow. Green, though, is falling behind, and they're in a troublesome position. We'll run around again, see what happens. Take a look at where things go. Get some sound relief from the construction going on. Green managed to grab Charlotte and shoot over, and I should have seen that coming. Green goes earlier. Of course they were going to get it. Black was racing for something they couldn't easily get. Now they're not too unhappy about the piece they've got here, but they are a little worried that they might lose Wilmington anyway if Green chugs across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're not going to make it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, Wilmington is Black's guaranteed. Okay, let's look at Blue. Shot over to Boston. They're running out of options now. They've got Albany, and from then on, well, they're going to be competing for territory that's already claimed. They're not going to get any more cash off the territory they get. On to Yellow. Yellow has shot into Detroit, making it over to Grand Rapids, claiming that western area. Great. Red chose to go up towards Nashville, in part because Green is heading for Knoxville. They want to make sure that they kind of get the claim in this direction. Someone's going to have to fight pretty hard to grab some of the stuff down here. And then we got, what, Brown. Brown got a crappy 1 roll and chose not to race red for Nashville, not to race green for Knoxville. They're going to try to beat yellow because they got such a lousy roll. Yellow's going to be able to build up to here, but maybe we can get St. Louis. We're not going to get a lot out of this if we don't outroll people. All right. I think we can probably load this up and continue working with the building phase.